what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for your country.
The only thing we have to fear is fear itself.
All of us need to be reminded that the federal government did not create the states. The states created the federal government.
Since 9/11, Americans' rights and freedoms have been slowly eradicated. Through the enactment of the USA Patriot Act and subsequent executive directives and regulations, essential rights and freedoms that were once guaranteed to all individuals have been substantially degraded. Many Americans still do not realize the significance of what we have lost. The resulting expansion of government powers and the erosion of the First, Fourth, Fifth, Sixth, Eighth, and 14th Amendment rights and freedoms have transformed the United States. The First Amendment, freedom of speech. The Patriot Act broadly expands the official definition of terrorism so that many domestic groups that engage in nonviolent civil disobedience could very well find themselves labeled as terrorists. For example, people like libertarians and Ron Paul supporters, gun rights advocates. The government may now prosecute librarians or keepers of any other records if they reveal that the government is requesting information on their clients or members in the course of an investigation. So now it's illegal for you to warn your coworker that he's being investigated for terrorism. You're a criminal now. So you have to go along with the Stasi, Nazi, Gestapo tactics, or you're a criminal and you'll be prosecuted. It has become a crime for those individuals to try to safeguard your privacy or tell you that you're under investigation. First Amendment freedom of association. Government agents may now monitor the First Amendment protected activities of religious and political institutions and then infiltrate these groups with no suspicion of criminal activity. This is a return to domestic spying on law-abiding religious and political groups. You may also now be the subject of a government investigation simply because of the political, activist, or advocacy groups you're involved in, or the statements you make within these groups. Fourth Amendment, freedom from unreasonable searches and seizure. Law enforcement authorities may now conduct secret searches and wiretaps in your home or office without showing probable cause. They need only to claim that intelligence gathering is a significant purpose of their intrusion, even when the primary goal is ordinary law enforcement. This may also monitor where and to whom you send and receive email, or where you go on the internet, recording every email address and website you've been in contact with. Look at what Google does. Look at what Facebook does. AOL. Law enforcement may now demand any personal records held by any source, including your doctor, employer, accountant, or library. All they have to do is claim that it's related to an investigation into terrorism. The record keepers may not reveal that your records were provided to the government as well. They'll be then subject to prosecution. Judicial oversight of secret searches has been effectively minimized. The Patriot Act directs judges to consent to secret searches based only on the government's assertion that a significant purpose of an investigation is gathering information related to terrorism, as the government defines it. Fifth Amendment, without right to due process and freedom from being held without charge. Americans can now be jailed without a formal charge and without right to confront the witness or evidence against them. Did you hear that? American citizens are now being held in military jails without charge and without a clear path of appeal for their indefinite confinement. Obama just, I'm going to close Gitmo. Well, Gitmo's open again. And now people are going to be held indefinitely even if they're found acquitted. This is a fascist, Nazi, Stasi state. Come on. The MIAC report. The Missouri Information Analysis Center, or MIAC, is a fusion center, combining resources from the Federal Department of Homeland Security and other agencies, in particular local agencies. It collects intelligence from both the local agencies and the Department of Homeland Security and uses these combined sources to analyze threats and better combat terrorism and other criminal activity. Yeah, the other criminal activity. The center opened in 2005 and is located in Jefferson City, Missouri. Now, the MIAC report was relatively unknown until March 13, 2009, when a leak report entitled The Modern Militia Movement originated from MIAC appeared in WikiLeaks and subsequently on InfoWars. A subsequent investigation was spearheaded by the Liberty Restoration Project out of Kansas City, Missouri, and the report detailed trends in militia and terrorist activity in Missouri and described common symbols in media associated with militia symbols and members as labeling people such as domestic terrorists. Yeah, libertarians, Ron Paul supporters, gun owners. We're terrorists. We are potential terrorists via the MIAC report, this report. Now, the United States Federal Emergency Management Agency has numerous detainment camps throughout the United States, and some of these camps have been recently constructed or renovated and are now fully staffed. The existence of the camps, coupled with President executive orders given the President and the Department of Homeland Security control over the national essential functions in the event of a catastrophic emergency, have resulted in the concerns that the camps will be used to forcefully detain American citizens for unconstitutional purposes. Well, considering what all the other laws say, and the way that it's looking, I would say that that's a good concern. I would be very concerned, considering that FEMA was created in 1979 on April 1st, pursuant to President Carter's Executive Order 12127. It amalgamated the Federal Insurance Administration, the National Fire Prevention and Control Administration, the National Weather Service Community Preparedness Program, and the Federal Preparedness Agency and the Federal Disaster Assistance Administration, activities formerly carried out by the Department of Housing and Urban Development. It also took over civil defense from the Department of Defense, which was in charge of preparing citizens for military attack. In 1993, Bill Clinton turned the director of FEMA into a cabinet position, and in 2003, FEMA became part of the Department of Homeland Security's Emergency Preparedness and Response Directive. The stated purpose of FEMA is to reduce the loss of life and property and protect the nation from all hazards, including natural disasters, acts of terrorism, and other man-made disasters, by leading and supporting the nation in risk-based comprehensive emergency management system of preparedness, protection, response, recovery, and mitigation. FEMA's most notably large operation in recent times was, obviously, they're a nightmare. We know what FEMA's all about with Katrina. Readiness Exercise 1984, REX 84, is an emergency response program involving the implementation of martial law, the movement of civilian populations, and the arrest and detainment of segments of the population. A rehearsal of the program was carried on between April 5th and 13th, 1984. It was led by FEMA and the Department of Defense and involved the coordination of 34 other federal departments and agencies. There are over 800 FEMA prison camps in the United States, all fully operational and ready to receive prisoners. They're all staffed and even surrounded by full-time guards, but they're all empty. These camps are to be operated by FEMA should martial law need to be implemented in the United States. And all it'll take is basically a presidential signature on a proclamation and the Attorney General's signature on a warrant, to which it would be in effect. The REX 84 program was established on the reasoning that if a mass exodus of illegal aliens crossed the Mexican-U.S. border, they would quickly be rounded up and detained in these detention centers by FEMA. REX 84 allowed many military bases to be closed down and turned into prisons. But yet we have this tremendous influx of illegal aliens constantly. They continue to come in. So it's not for the illegal aliens. It's not for what they're saying it's for. But that's what it's there. It's there for that purpose. These are real places. Operation Cable Splicer and Garden Plot are the two sub-programs which will be implemented once REX 84 program is initiated for its proper purpose. Garden Plot is the program to control the population. Cable Splicer is the program for an orderly takeover of the state and local governments by the federal government. FEMA is the executive arm of the coming police state and thus will head up all operations. The presidential executive orders are listed on the Federal Register, are also part of the legal framework for this operation. Executive Order 10990 allows the government to take over all modes of transportation and control of highways and seaports. Executive Order 10995 allows the government to seize and control the communications media. Executive Order 10997 allows the government to take over all electrical power, gas, petroleum, fuels, and minerals. Executive Order 10998 allows the government to seize all means of transportation, including personal cars, trucks, or vehicles of any kind, and total control over all highways, seaports, and waterways. Executive Order 10999 allows the government to take over all food resources and farms. Executive Order 11000 allows the government to mobilize civilians into work brigades under government supervision. Executive Order 11001 allows the government to take over all health, education, and welfare functions. Executive Order 11002 designates the Postmaster General to operate a national registration of all persons. Executive Order 11003 allows the government to take over all airport and aircraft, including commercial aircraft. Executive Order 11004 allows the Housing and Finance Authority to relocate communities building new housing with public funds, designated areas to be abandoned, and establish new locations for populations. Executive Order 11310 grants the authority to the Department of Justice to enforce the plans set out in executive orders, to institute industrial support, to establish judicial and legislative liaison, to control all aliens, to operate penal and correctional institutions, and to advise and assist the President. Executive Order 11049 assigns emergency preparedness function to federal departments and agencies, consolidating 21 operative executive orders issued over a 15-year period. Executive Order 11921 allows the Federal Emergency Preparedness Agency to develop plans to establish control over the mechanisms of production and distribution of energy sources, wages, salaries, credit flow, the flow of money into U.S. institution of any undefined national emergency. Hail. Credit and the flow of money into U.S. financial institutions in any undefined national emergency. So they just take all the money. Resources, wages, salaries, credit, and the flow of money in U.S. financial institution in any undefined national emergency. It also provides that when a state of emergency is declared by the President, Congress cannot review the action for 6 months. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has broad powers in every aspect of the nation. General Frank Salzito, chief of FEMA's Civil Security Division, stated in a 1983 conference that he saw FEMA's role as the new frontier in the protection of individual and governmental leaders from assassination and of civil and military installations from sabotage and or attack, as well as prevention of dissent from groups gaining access to U.S. opinion or global audiences in a time of crisis. FEMA's powers were consolidated by President Carter to incorporate the National Security Act of 1947, which allows for the strategic relocation of industry, services, government, and other essential economic activities, and to rationalize the requirements for manpower, resources, and production facilities. So where are these camps? Alabama. They're all over. Alabama is in Opelika, Alabama, Fort McClellan, Maxwell Air Force Base, in Alaska, in the wilderness, Elmendorf Air Force Base, Eielson Air Force Base, Arizona, Fort Huachuca, Pinal County on the Gila River, the Yuma County, which were former Japanese detention camps. In Florence, Arizona, World War II prison camp was renovated and operational, has 400 with staff and can hold 400 prisoners, operational capacity, staff of 400, operational capacity of 3,500. Wickenburg Airport is ready for conversion to total capacity unknown. In Arkansas, there's a whole bunch of them from Rower in Desha County, Berryville, FEMA locations in Eureka Springs off of Highway 62, in Omaha, northeast of Berryville, near the Missouri state line, on Highway 65, south of the old wood processing plant. California, there's one in Vandenberg Air Force Base, REX Rex 84 facility located near Lompoc and Santa Maria. Norton Air Force Base, 29 Palms Marine Base. All these locations are all notated. Just Google them. There's too many to mention. There's 800 of them. And they're real, and they're there, and they're staffed, and they're waiting.